Hi again, everyone. Welcome back to Li'l KArtistry. I am Kristen, the artist also known as Li'l K, and this is my full corner of the art world, and I welcome you back. If you are a new subscriber or a new visitor, welcome to my channel. And if you are a subscriber or a returning subscriber, welcome back. If you are watching this on the day that it has been posted, welcome to December 2024. It is December 1st, and as promised, I am sharing my abstract Cellism Li'l KArtistry formula that is based on the extraordinary hard work and wonderful sharing of one of my mentors, Steve Chase from Chase Fluid Art. This builds upon and works with his mix for abstract cellism. I have changed it slightly for my own uses. He uses a air compressor, and if you go to Chase Fluid Art and watch his videos, they are amazing, and I highly recommend you go and subscribe. He only has 2 videos, but I highly recommend that you subscribe to Chase Fluid Art. All the science and all the interesting information behind why this works. He is amazing. I would not be here doing this, what I do at Li'l KArtistry, if it were not for Steve Chase. So thank you, Steve Chase. Please go to his channel, show him some love, give him a subscription. But he uses some things that I don't have access to. So I have modified his mixes to work with hairdryer and my particular style and my desire to use items that are a little more, just a little more conducive to my style personally. So that is what I'm going to be showing you today. I am going to be mixing some of the mixes today, but not all of them. And then I'm going to do a fluid art piece with abstract cellism so you can see what it looks like. And some of the mixes I have already mixed, pre-mixed, and some of them I'm going to be mixing for you today. But all of the information I will be sharing is down below in the description. So if you want to follow along and mix along with me, great. If you want to save this and watch it again and again and again, which is what I did with Chase Fluid Art, feel free to do that as well. But basically, like I said, I'm going to be sharing the mixes that I have changed a little bit for my own usage, mainly the hairdryer instead of the air compressor, and also my desire to use mixes that do not include Floetrol of any kind. No US Floetrol and no Australian Floetrol, because sometimes those are hard to get. I am utilizing golden fluid acrylics for this. I do have my ratios and information for if you decide that you want to use pigments like this little piggy, and this is my display of this little piggy pigments, or if you want to use tube paints, which is if you want to know the link for getting the spinner for your tube paints, it is in the description. And also these little shelf units that I put my this little piggy pigments on. They work really well. They hold exactly 28, so it's 7 in 4 rows, and I have 2 of them. I also need to get a 3rd because I have some more piggies coming. When the new piggies come out on, I think it's December 12th or the 15th, we're able to order them. So I'm going to be needing a new shelf because I'm going to be getting more piggies because I love the pigments. Anyway, the links for those 2 items, as well as my hair dryers, my spinner, my stir sticks, all kinds of things are down below in the description. This is going to be a little bit of a longer video, so I'm going to get right to the mixing. This is abstract cellism via Li'l KArtistry. Okay, the first thing that is important is the base mix. Some people call it, Steve Chase calls it the main mix. I call it the base or the foundation. And it is, I call it that because it is the first thing that goes on the canvas. It is also what the colors are mixed with. So I am going to be mixing a little bit of that with you all today. And in doing that, I like to use just a plain old mixing bowl. If you have any kind of a larger bowl, I'm just mixing a small amount today, so I'm using a small bowl here. If you have if you have a tub or something with a lid on it, this is what I mix it in, and then I go ahead and pour it into my I do have a cleaning business and I use Method products and I like to reuse things. So this is what the Method All-Purpose comes in. So I wash these out and I use them for my abstract cellism base. Then you'll notice when I'm pouring the base out onto the canvas, I pour it from this little guy, which has a nice little spout on it. Oops, we got a little dry piece in there. You weren't supposed to see that. This is actually my creamer. I am vegan, so this is my creamer that I use that is non-dairy. And so I take the label off and I wash it out and I reuse that because I really like the fact that it has a cute little spout on it, and it works really good when I'm pouring the base out onto the canvas. And you'll see there are times when I use a base on the canvas that is just the base mix with no color in it. You can do that as well. So that's pretty cool. We'll come back to that in a minute. So the main mix, as Steve Chase calls it, or for my purposes, the base layer or the foundation layer. It's pretty simple, but I'm going to walk you through all of the ingredients that you need, and then I'm going to mix some real quick here for you. So for starters, I use Behr, and this is the Behr paint that I use, and it is Behr Dynasty. It is a deep base. This is different. This is the ingredient, you guys, that I kept complaining that I could not find one, because the original one in Steve Chase's mix is 3453. The number at the top is Behr, and it is still the Dynasty, but it's 3453. That, I swear they changed it. It is too thin. So I no longer use the 3453. Now I use the 3653. It's a slight change, but this is a thicker mix. And this is the one, I gotta get a little pour spout. You can get these, wait, I get this at the Home Depot, and I get it in a gallon, and then it comes with, you can get a little spout to pour it with, makes it so much easier. That's the first ingredient that I use, and it is 3 parts. So 3 parts of the Behr 3653. And then we also have a thinner, which is polycrylic, and I use the Minwax Polycrylic, and this is the clear gloss. I have used the satin previously. I don't think it works as well. Plus it doesn't leave the painting as shiny, and I like to have a little bit more shine to my pieces. So I like to use the gloss. And it comes in a gallon. You can also get it in the smaller quart. I don't remember. I like the gallon. So that is also in the mix, and that is 1 part. So it's 3 parts of the Behr 3653, 1 part of the Minwax Polycrylic Gloss. Let me turn these around so that you can see them. And then this ingredient is a little bit harder to get, not hard to get, but you do need to get it online unless your local craft store or art store sells golden products. This is the golden tar gel, and it is fantastic. It helps the stretch, it also helps the cells, and it helps them to hold their shape. So this is the main 3 ingredients in your base layer. I don't thin it with anything other than the Minwax Polycrylic. So I am going to mix some of this foundation base layer for you right now so you can see how I do it. The tar gel is really thick, and so is the Behr 3653. So I like to put in the polycrylic first, because what it does is it kind of greases my measuring cup so that the other things slide out easier. So this is the polycrylic, and like I said, this is 1 part. So it's 1 part polycrylic, and I'm going to use my little scooper here just to make sure that I have a full part. 1 part polycrylic, and that's the Minwax Polycrylic. And then I always like to, I'm going to move this out of the way, I always like to clean out the cup really well afterwards. But when I use the polycrylic, I like to leave a little bit in the cup because that's what makes it slippery, so that the other ingredients will come right out of the cup instead of having to scrape them. So 1 part. In this case, I am using my 1 part is a 1/2 cup. Okay, so 1 part of the Minwax Polycrylic Gloss. And then I do half a part of the tar gel. So I'm just going to fill this up halfway. So this would be an eighth of a cup. I'm sorry, a quarter of a cup, because I'm using a half cup. So that's about half, about a quarter of a cup. And that slides right in there, nice and easy. And it all comes right out. Okay, so 1 part polyacrylic, half part of the tar gel. Now that I've got that mixed in there, I'm just gonna cover it and scoot it over real quick so it's not in the way. That's the tar gel. And then this one was 3 parts. So in this case, I'm gonna fill up my half cup measure 3 times. So it's 3 parts of the 3-6-5-3. And this, you'll see, it's pretty thick coming out of there. The 3-4-5-3 is not as thick, and it was not working, you guys. I was so frustrated. I'm sure you probably saw my posts. I kept like, I'm so frustrated. I can't get this to work. Because the mix was too thin, the cells were dissolving. And by the time the painting, this is number 2, so the second part, by the time my painting was drying, the cells were dissolved. It was kind of a neat look, but it was not abstract cellism. So I was getting really frustrated. And this is part number 3. Okay, so that's 3 parts of the Behr, 3-6-5-3. I do have a mat down here, and this is the mat from Fluid Art Co. Works really well, cleans up easy. I'm gonna scoot that right back over there. Okay, and then I'm gonna scrape this out, and then we just mix this really well. So if you've been following along, there's 1 part of the polyacrylic, and that's the gloss. And in this case, my 1 part is a half a cup. When I'm making like a big batch of this, you guys, I use a cup measure, not a half cup. But I just decided to make a little bit today for you all to see how this works. So 1/2 cup, 1 part of Minwax Polycrylic Gloss, 1/2 of a half cup, so a 1/4 cup of the golden tar gel, and then 3 parts, so essentially a 1.5 cups of the Behr 3-6-5-3. Was 3-6? Yeah, sorry. 3-6-5-3. It was the 3-4-5-3. I don't recommend the 3-4-5-3. It's too thin. It does not work well for this mix, for this style. So this is your base layer. I stir this up really well. The thickness, the consistency is perfect when you're using the golden fluid acrylics, because they are fluid, so they thin this mixture down to a perfect consistency. If you're using 2 paints, or you're using, what are those? Pigments. Oh, I lost my mind there for a second. If you're using 2 paints, or if you're using pigments that essentially have to be mixed with a thicker ingredient to get them to work, then this mix becomes a little bit thicker because those are thicker. So you have to thin it down a little bit with the thinner, and I'm going to talk about the thinner in just a second. This seems like a lot, you guys, but really once you get it down, it's not. And if you mix a bunch up ahead of time, then you can mix your colors and you can make painting after painting after painting after painting. Trust me, that's what I do and I love it. So I'm just gonna wipe up my mess a little bit here. Got a little bit of tar gel and some of the Behr on the table there. This is from the Fluid Art Co. And it's a really cool little mat. It's the silicone. This is the square one. I also have a round one that I usually put on my spinner. Okay, so I'm going to show you, this was the polyacrylic, the Behr 3-6-5-3, and the golden tar gel, all mixed together, and that's your consistency. It does leave a trace, but I'm going to say it's probably a 1.5 second trace. It's fairly thin, and you'll see it runs right off the stick, nice and smoothly. I am going to go ahead and transfer that. Since I don't have a ton of it, I'm going to put it right in my little container that I usually pour onto my canvas. I'm going to use my funnel, And what I often do, because sometimes in the Behr product and sometimes in the polycrylic product and also sometimes in the tar gel, you'll get a little lump or a dry piece. I always use a strainer when it's going into my where I store it. I will always strain it, you guys. Really important. You don't want to get into your painting, and you've probably seen me do it a couple times, when I'm picking like little dry things out of my painting. That's because something wasn't strained, or sometimes the edge of the container will have a dry piece on it. Like you saw, I had that little bit on there, and it will fall into your painting. You don't want that to happen. As much as possible, strain it. You'll thank me later, as Monk used to say. Okay, I'm probably dating myself. Did anybody watch the show Monk? He's one of my favorite shows ever. I love Frasier. You know, I talk about TV and movies a lot because I do love them. Frasier was one of my all-time favorite shows, but Monk, Adrian Monk, I loved that show. It was so good. And he always used to say, "You'll thank me later." Or "Here's the thing." I find myself saying that a lot. Here's the thing. If I'm disagreeing with someone, or if I have another idea that's different from theirs, here's the thing. Okay, so there's my strained mixture. I'm just gonna scrape that strainer. I'm gonna go through and wash those all up later. So there's that, and I've got it's up to about here in my container. Okay, that is what I call the foundation or the base layer. This is what all of the colors, the paints, get mixed into, this thicker layer. And if you're just using this, and you've seen me do this before, I'm going to actually paint on this one at the end of this video. You can just put the base layer down and put colors on top of that, or you can use a colored base on the as your first layer and do it that way. Either way it works, which I love. So you can just use this if you just want the colors to show, or if you want a background color and then put colors on top of it, you can do that. I've done it both ways. So either way, that's what that is. It's Abstract Cellism base, and I put a number 1 on here because it's the number 1 base. I love it. I have tried so many mixtures of this over the last 6 months, you guys. I had to differentiate which was which. I would write no on it, and some of you might have noticed on the top of my can of the Behr 3653, you can see I wrote yes in Sharpie. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yes with an exclamation. This is the one that works. It's so many times I've tried, so many. There's your base layer. Now what I'm going to do is going to show you how to, because I do have a couple of colors I want to mix up. I want to show you how this works when you're mixing it with the golden fluid acrylics, because there is a percentage, there's a formula that you want to use. And in my painting that I'm going to do, I'm going to use probably some of the colors that I've already mixed too, but I want to use Titan Buff, Quinacridone Magenta, and also Dioxazine Purple. And I have these 3 colors in the golden fluids, and I am going to mix those for you. Hopefully you can see it. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, this is how you mix with your golden fluid acrylics. I like to use the plastic cups, so I'm going to grab 3 of them right now. I get these little cups at Walmart. I reuse them as much as possible. And this here, you'll see, I have one that is written on, and this is because I like to make things as much of a process, steps of a process as possible. So what I did is I went ahead and I measured out what it is. It's 1 part paint to 9 parts of your base, okay? Your foundation base color. So 1 part paint, and this is the ratio for fluid acrylics, okay? 1 part paint to 9 parts of your base. So it's essentially 10%, 90%, if you like percentages. And so what I did was here, I used a tablespoon because that was my part. And this is, the line up here is 9 parts of my base. So when I'm redoing 3 colors, I can line up 3 cups And then all I have to do is put them beside my base layer, beside my empty cup, and then I just look at it and I pour the base layer. See, I'm kind of cheating a little bit, but it makes it go faster because that way I don't have to keep measuring out 9 parts every time. And I just fill it up to that line. I never fill that one. That's my, there, right there. That's 9 parts. So this is my, essentially my measuring tool here. I hope I have enough in here for 3 of these. I might only be able to do 2. We'll see. And there's 9 parts there. And then here's the third one. Say a little prayer. There's going to be enough in here. There might not be enough. It's got to go up to that line. It's going to be so close. Oh, it is going to do it. Psych. I have just enough. Awesome. That is fabulous. I'm so happy that worked out with you guys. I did not think ahead. I wasn't sure if that was going to work or not. Yay me. Okay, so now I didn't have to sit here and go 1, 2, 3, 9 times. I highly recommend just a little cheat sheet. Just hold it up next to your cup. And you do that for a lot of them. If I'm doing like a large, sometimes I'll do a large batch. This is a 9-ounce cup. And sometimes I'll use these big guys. And I had one, I've misplaced it, that was this size, but instead of using the 1 tablespoon, I used the 2 tablespoon. So I filled it up 9 times and then put a line on it. So when I want to do a bigger amount, I just use one of these of the paint and then fill it up to this one. But for this, it's the tablespoon, not the 2 tablespoon. So I'm just gonna scoot that guy back there. So this is 9 tablespoons of the base layer. So then what I'm going to do is each one of these guys, I'm going to put 1 tablespoon, because remember, it's 1 part of paint to 9 parts of base. So I'm going to do 1 part of my quinacridone magenta. And guys, I like to put the paint on top of the base instead of putting the paint in first. I feel like it mixes better. I might be wrong. It has happened a couple of times. Okay, so that's 1 part quinacridone magenta, and I scrape it all out. That was a pretty strong R on that scrape. Okay, that's the quinacridone magenta. I'm just going to wipe this out real quick because I don't want magenta in my Titan buff. If I had been thinking, I would have done the Titan buff first, but I didn't, so we'll do it second. So we wipe out the tablespoon. So again, now these are fluid, so they're pretty runny. That's why they work perfectly with this base mix. Okay. There's the Titan buff. And then we wipe it out, and then we'll do a little bit of my favorite purple, which is dioxazine purple. These are some of my 3 favorite colors, you guys. I love the Titan buff because it's not, oops, helps if you open it. Oh, that's funny. Again, I love the Titan buff because it's not white, but it's not really like a yellow. Like I love Naples yellow, but Naples yellow is definitely a yellow. Titan buff is just a little bit of an off-white. It's so pretty, I love it. And then of course my favorite purple, which is dioxazine. Okay, oh, where's my stir? Oh, I need another stir stick. Okay, there we go. So there's the 3 colors. So again, 1 part paint, 9 parts base, or 10% to 90%. And for this demonstration, my part is a tablespoon. These are generally the sizes that I use because I like to use these little 8-ounce squirt bottles. These are the 12-ounce ones. They are a little bit bigger, but these are most of my colors that I have mixed are in these little guys, unless they're colors that I use a lot of, like the dioxazine purple, the Titan buff. I have one that is my titanium white. My carbon black is in a big one, and then of course Prussian blue. If I use a lot of the color, I'll mix a larger size. But for the most part, they're in those little ones. So this is the one I use. Okay, that's that. 9 parts to 1 part. And I'm going to put these guys back on the shelf. Then you just stir, obviously. You want to mix really well. Oh, I love that purple. It's so pretty. Mix it really well, scrape the edges down, and you'll notice that once you get this all mixed up, the color thins out your base, and it's perfect. It's the perfect consistency for the abstract cellism. This is a beautiful color. Look at that. And see, we still have a trace, and it's about 1 second, tiny bit more than a 1 second trace. Always scrape the sides down. That one is mixed. This is the Titan Buff. We do the same thing with this one. The Titan Buff doesn't really change the color of the base that much because it's kind of Titan Buff colored to begin with. But I do like to have this color on hand if I'm using a colored base and I want an off-white. So instead of using the base color that's untinted for that, I use the Titan Buff. So again, scrape the sides. That's why I love these stir sticks, because they have a straight side and a curved side. So you can use the straight side to get all along the sides and down in the bottom. There's the Titan Buff. And then Quinacridone Magenta, which is one of my favorite reds. It's like a pinky red. So again, scrape the sides, mix it really well. It mixes really well with the golden fluid. Oh, hiccup, I'm sorry. Oh goodness, I've got the hiccups all of a sudden. Okay, stop. That was unexpected. I must not be breathing deeply enough. Oh, I got the hiccups. Okay, I'm just so excited to share this with you guys. This has been such a long time coming. I've been threatening to tell you guys this mix for so long. And please share this. I know there are people out there who might not see this, who have been waiting for this video. Please share, comment, put it out there to the world. Okay, those are my 3, aren't they pretty? My 3 colors. So then all I do is just load up my squirt bottles, my 8 ounce and my 12 ounce squirt bottles. Probably don't want to put the purple in the Titan Buff, so we'll switch that. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to add this in. And these little cups, this amount is pretty good. It fills it up about halfway, almost 2/3 of the way. So, and if you've seen when I do these paintings, you guys, I don't use hardly any paint. So these last a really long while, a really long time. That's another reason why I really love this mix. It's not cheap. I don't use cheap ingredients. I want my product, my end result, my paintings, I want them to be archival. I want them to last in people's homes, in the businesses that have purchased my product. My art, I want them to last. So I want my product to be archival. I don't want to use ingredients that I feel are not archival. I know Floetrol, American Floetrol, is not archival, which is why this mix, including the top layer, does not use any Floetrol, and I'll get to the top layer in just a second. I call it a top layer. I do not call it a cell activator because I feel like that is misleading. Nothing is being activated. There's no chemical reaction here, guys. It's just based on the Rayleigh-Taylor instability theory. And basically, it's just the viscosity and the weight, the viscosity of the mix and the weight of the pigments that makes the cells. That's all it is. You're not activating anything. So it kind of, I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and I feel like it's, for new artists, it's a little misleading. It was very misleading and confusing for me when I was new to hear people talk about cell activators, because I was trying to figure out what the ingredient was that was activating the cells. And I don't know if that's been your case if you're new, but there is no magic ingredient that activates cells. It's just based upon the weight of the pigments in the paints, or the pigments themselves, and the viscosity, or essentially how thick or thin the medium is that the pigment or the paint is suspended in. That's all it is. Nothing is being activated. So I don't use that term. Some people love that term. There are artists out there who use that term, and that's fine for them. I don't want to continue the confusion that I felt and that I found in this art form when I was first starting. So I don't use the term. That's the only reason why I don't. I don't want to perpetuate the confusion. And I only feel that way because I was so confused when I first started. So there you go. There are the 3 mixes. Lots of paint there that I just mixed up. And that will last a good long time. Love that about this paint style. Okay, that's a used one. I'm going to put that under there. Okay. These I am going to toss because I do not need any more of those colors. Normally I'd wipe them out and save them and reuse them. I don't need them this time. Okay. On to the top layer, which again, some people call the cell activator. I don't call it that. Guys, my top layer is so simple, I don't even need to mix any up for you. I'm just going to tell you the 2 ingredients. It's paint and 1 ingredient. But the 1 ingredient has 3 ingredients in it. So I'll clear that up in a second. But this is my top layer. This is not Steve Chase's top layer mix. This is Li'l K top layer mix. It works wonderfully. And I'm going to tell you what's in it. Those are my 3 new colors. I need to pick a couple of colors to go with this for that painting. So I'm going to pick a dark blue. Obviously, I'm picking Prussian blue. And I think I want, do we want it? How about a teal? I was going to pick yellow, but I'm going to go with teal because we already have the Titan buff. So we're going to go, in this painting, I'm going to go with quinacridone magenta, the golden fluid teal, the golden Titan buff I just mixed up, the dioxazine purple I just mixed up, and the golden Prussian blue. These are all fluid acrylics. So we're going to go with those 5 colors on this canvas with this top layer in just a second. Now I'm going to explain to you what's in the top layer. If you go back, and I'm going to make mention of it at the bottom in the information, my Li'l K pouring medium for my Dutch pour style paintings, if you go back and look at that pouring medium for the Dutch pour style, that is what I'm mixing with my tar gel. And the tar gel and the Li'l K Dutch pour pouring medium are the only 2 ingredients that are in with my paint. The Chase Fluid Art uses a mixture of the golden tar gel and watered down US Floetrol. I just don't want to use Floetrol in my paintings. So instead of using the watered down Floetrol to thin out, because this is the star of your top layer. The golden tar gel, just like it's in the foundation layer, it's in the top layer. So there's continuity and consistency. I found that that really helps, especially using the hairdryer. So this is the golden tar gel, and for this one, it's the black. So I always use tube paints, and I always use Amsterdam for the top layer. And this one is this oxide? I can't see it. Yeah, this is oxide black. So for the black top coat, oxide black in the Amsterdam, the tar gel, and then the Li'l K Dutch pouring medium. And what this consists of is two parts of the golden soft gloss gel, 9 parts of water, and 1 part of GAC 800. And that's all that's in this. And I'm going to list this all down below, guys. You don't have to memorize it. You don't have to keep rewinding unless you want to. I'm going to list all the mixes in the description down below. But this is my Li'l K pouring medium. When I do my blowouts, my Dutch pour, that's what I use. This is what I use. 2 parts golden soft gloss gel, 9 parts of water, and I always use distilled water, and 1 part of the GAC 800. That's what I use to thin the tar gel. And I'm going to tell you the ratios. So this is 10 parts. So if it's a tablespoon, 10 tablespoons of my Li'l K Dutch pouring medium with 4 tablespoons of the tar gel. So 10 and 4. and then 3 tablespoons of the actual paint. In this case, the black paint. And this is what you get. It's pretty runny. Because again, I'm watering down this tar gel, which is super thick. You saw me pour it out. I'm watering down 4 parts, 10 parts, 3 parts. Okay? It seems confusing, guys, but it's not. And let me tell you, this style of art, you've seen me almost bust into tears when I paint this. This style of art is so close to my heart. It is so a part of my art and my journey with my healing. And we won't go into that right now, but those of you who know my story, you've been watching my channel, you know that my art started as therapy. It continues as therapy. This is so important to me. This style of art, this abstract cellism that I'm going to show you in about 5 seconds here, it is so important to me to get this right, to have it be as perfect of a mix as possible. That's why all the ingredients, they all work together. They all do something specific for the end result. And you'll see it in just a second on that little 8x8 canvas. I was going to do some kind of like a field with flowers in the sky, and clearly that did not work out. Back to abstract cellism, you guys. Okay, so that's what is in my top layer. Some people will call this a cell activator. A lot of artists use the black paint and Australian Floetrol, and that's all they use. Some people use the black paint and US Floetrol and a little water, and that's what they use. I do not want to put Floetrol in my paintings at all, so that is why it has taken me this long to come up with this mix. But again, it is following and on the heels of the hard work that Steve Chase did to find all these ingredients to begin with. I'm just tweaking them and changing them up a little bit to make them meet my specific standard. So when you mix up your golden tar gel, 4 parts tar gel, 10 parts of the Li'l K Dutch pour medium, this is what you get. It's pretty watery. And then you mix the black paint with it, and then you get something that's a little bit thicker, and this is your top layer. I only use the Amsterdam tube paints for my top layer. I haven't found any that work. I do have some here that I am going to try. They are Tri-Art, and I've got a phthalo turquoise and a Prussian blue. I am going to try these in this mix to see if I can get different colored, I've got a hair, it's tickling my arm, different colored top layers so the cells will come out different instead of black or white, because right now I'm just using black and white. Okay, I'm going to move my notes. And I just dropped the bottle of something. Okay, move my notes, and now we are going to do some painting. Well, not we, me. But you guys hopefully are still there in internet land, and you're still with me here to see this come to life. I am going to scoot some of these off the table though, because I'm just afraid that I'm going to knock something over. And I don't want to knock anything over and cause a big mess, especially since I'm recording this. Guys, I cannot find that hair. Do you ever get, you guys who have long hair that falls out, you ever get a hair that tickles the back of your arm and you can't find it? It's driving me insane. Apologize, I almost lost my mind there for a moment. Okay, I am going to make sure this is level. Really important, you guys. You've probably noticed in a lot of my videos before I get going, I make sure that my canvas is level. Really important, because if it's not level, your painting will shift, because this is fluid art. Make sure that it's level before you start. Okay, so I think I am going to use an actual color on the base so that you guys can see what this looks like with an actual color. You can just use the abstract cellism base on your canvas first if you want. I am going to use the Titan Buff, and we just mix this up, so hope you guys can see. I feel like I should go back there. You know what? I'm just going to go back there and make sure that you can see this. Hold on. I don't want you to miss this. This is kind of important. Okay, you know what? Let's get the focus off of Li'l K and let's put it on the canvas where it belongs. Sorry, I just whispered. I know some people don't like whispering. I'm so sorry if that just if that just triggered something bad for you. I know some people can't stand whispering. So sorry. Okay. All right. So this is the Titan Buff that we just mixed up. And I'm just going to sprinkle this a little bit for the base layer because this is going to kind of be the background color. And I just want to remind you too, this is my particular top layer that I choose not to have Floetrol in it. If you want to go to Steve Chase Fluid Art, if you want to use his top layer, it's just the golden tar gel and then watered down Floetrol. And he does, it's US Floetrol. He does give the ratios for that. If you don't want to use the one that I use and you want to try his, have at it. Feel free. And his is 3 parts paint to 8 parts of thinner. I just tweaked it a little bit, just so that it's more in line with what I want to do. And also, I do love using my own pouring medium in the, it's kind of neat, because I've been kind of experimenting with a lot of things for a while, and to find one that really works, and it's very rewarding. So I like to use that as much as possible. Okay, so very cool. You don't need a ton of paint. Next one, I'm gonna put the purple on because I want a little bit more of a dark background. So this is that dioxazine purple. And we'll just squizzle some of that around. And then I want to do a light color. So this is the teal. Is teal? Yes. Golden fluid teal. And then a darker blue. So this is the Prussian. You guys know how much I adore Prussian blue. Maybe we should put a little bit of yellow in here. I just feel like if I put yellow, then we'll get orange and green. And I don't know if I want orange and green in this painting. I'll stick with the way it is. We'll keep it simple. Okay, I think I'm going to sneeze. So I apologize ahead of time if it jumps out in the middle of the sentence. There it is. I never sneeze once. It's usually twice. Because I say that. And I only sneeze once. Okay, here goes the top layer. Okay, here it comes. Told you, I never sneezed just once. Oh my word, could this video get any weirder? You guys are going to be like, I'm going to Steve Chase. I'm going to watch his video instead. He's not weird. Okay, so a little bit in the middle. Drizzle it out around the edges. This is going to have a ton of cells in it. Might have put a little bit too much top coat on there, but we'll see. All right, now I'm going to blow it out. And this is just helping the Rayleigh Taylor instability theory work a little bit more, a little faster. I could just leave it here and let gravity take over. I could just spin it and let it do its work. I am going to spin it, but I want to help it a little bit. So this is the link to this is down below. I'm just going to put it on high and I'm going to hold the cool button in as I'm spinning. Just spreading out that top layer. Because that's what helps those cells to form. Okay. Might need to do that a little bit more in the middle because it's still pretty dark in the middle, but let's spin it and see where we are. guys, I love this. Just gonna blow off the edges a little bit. Just a tiny bit. Put it on high. Okay, I'm not done yet. More magic will happen. Oh, another movie quote just came to my head when I said that. I don't know if I should share it with you guys or not. You're probably tired of my movie quotes. I love children's movies. One of my favorite children's movies was also one of my favorite books that I read when I was a kid. James and the Giant Peach. Is anyone familiar with James and the Giant Peach? The movie is adorable, and the book was fantastic. And there's a part when there's the glowworm, who I think is blind. Someone says, the old man who gave him the beans said marvelous things would happen, and she doesn't hear very well. And she says, did someone say marvelous pigs in satin? I don't know why that just popped in my head. You guys probably think I'm insane. And then the grasshopper says, no, no, dear lady, marvelous things will happen. Marvelous things are happening. Are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? I think I say that in every one of my videos. I'm like, are you seeing? Of course you're seeing this. These will continue to form. Oh, I don't need to spin it anymore. Notice how little paint is spun off the canvas. I love that. And what I do spin off, I keep, and I put in a little jar like this. Has a lid on it. I scrape it off and I put it in here, and then I strain it, because I strain everything, and then I save it. And I use it for base coats and other paintings. Okay, so I am not going to spin this anymore. These will continue to form as that black layer sinks, because again, the viscosity and the weight of the pigments is different. So the black is sinking, it's forming the cells, and there you go. So you guys now have my recipe, and you can go make the beautiful art. And if you decide that you want to try this and you make something, which I know you will, make something beautiful, you can find me on Facebook at Li'l KArtistry on Facebook. I am also on Instagram. I am also on TikTok. If you want to email me, if you have a photo of something that you have created using my mix, I would love to see it. And that is lilkartistry@gmail.com. Feel free to drop me an email. Some of you have already done that. This is, it just, it makes, I get my tongue got in front of my eye teeth and I couldn't see what I was saying there for a second. This makes, I lose my ability to speak when I see this. I'm going to zoom you in a little bit. Guys, remember, this was only 5 colors, and one of them was the base color. So I'm going to zoom you in a little bit. There you go. That is abstract cellism. And over the course of the next, I'm going to zoom this up so I can talk to you guys again. Ooh, sorry. I'm sorry. Did I just make you guys all really dizzy there for a second? I am so sorry. We'll zoom out a little bit so you can see my whole messy mess of a studio. As I get going, now that you have the mix, guys, whenever you see me do an abstract cellism piece like this, this is the mix that I use. There are ways to make more cells, bigger cells, smaller cells, fewer cells if you just want cells in the middle. It's just a different way of putting the paint on the canvas, a different way of blowing it out. Sometimes I don't blow it out at all. You see, sometimes I layer, I use my big spatula and I layer the top layer, and then I spin it, and those massive, like that one in the corner, those big massive cells are created. There's so many different things that you can do with this. You guys will probably find other ways. Now that you have this mix, you'll find other ways to play around with it. Do that. You know, play around with it. I don't own the mix, obviously. I'm sharing it with you guys. Steve Chase doesn't own it. He shared it with everybody. Probably hundreds of thousands of people now have seen his video, I hope, and they've subscribed to his channel because it's just phenomenal. This is the art, the style of art that got me through so much. And it means so much to me, and I'm so excited to finally be able to share it with you all. And I hope that you take it and run with it and make it even better than I did, and have fun with it and enjoy it. Love it the way I do, hopefully. Golden has so many colors. I mean, you guys could break the bank buying all these colors. I'd start with maybe 3, the primary colors, and go up from there. Depending on your budget, they're not the cheapest paints in the world, but let me tell you, they are archival. They're beautiful. They mix wonderfully. They work fantastic with this mix, with the top layer and the base mix, the foundation mix. They make the most beautiful things on your canvas. This is a cotton canvas. You can also use the cradled wood canvases. Some people do this on glass. It's stunning. I'm going to be trying that in the future as well. This is it, guys. This is Abstract Cellism, and I hope you love it as much as I do. I thank you so much for joining me. This was a long one. I knew it was going to be long because I was doing all the mixing, and then we made the piece, and I love it. So pretty. So thank you for joining me. I appreciate you so much. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please do. And I appreciate the comments. Let me know what you think about this little, I think this is just an 8-inch, little 8-inch canvas. Maybe it's 10. I'm not sure. Looks like it's an 8-inch canvas. I'm going with 8. And I just heard Bentley Wolf, he wants to go out. So I've got my little prince needs to go potty outside in the snow. It's snowing now here. So thank you so much. Happy December. 2024 is coming to a close in a few short weeks, and I will be launching Li'l KArtistry Beyond the Canvas. Look out for that. That will be a monthly subscription, very inexpensive, and a way for me to touch base with all of you on a monthly basis. A little more personal and a little more in line with my calling. So thank you for joining me. I hope you like this piece. I can't wait for you guys to start doing this. Thank you all. And remember, this is Li'l K, and I am reminding you and I am encouraging you to go make the art.